born in Poland, living in South London in the UK, playing for a good number of years in the Tier 2 scene, but he's finally managed to break through into what many would consider to be the Tier 1 in how CS goes, into OG. And personally, Mantuu, I'm really looking forward to getting into this because I remember the first interview we did at Blast, you handled it very well, where many players, they struggle a little bit more when it comes to that. So first of all, mate, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm looking forward to it as well. When I heard you were from like London as well, I
Yeah.
was super excited as well. So yeah,
There's not many of us, right, when it comes to esports,
yeah,
especially
yeah.
in the CS side of things. Now, I wanted to start at the beginning before we get into the CS side of things about you moving to the UK at a young age. Why did your family decide to move? Was it just for better opportunities at the time, work-related stuff?
Just like most Polish parents, there was not a lot of opportunity in Poland. My dad worked two jobs, I believe, and we just decided to move to London because having fairly normal jobs in Poland, like two, is
Yeah,
nothing compared to having like a one job here that's like semi okay.
exactly.
So yeah, we moved here. My pretty much like half of my family moved here with my uncles and
Oh,
my
wow.
aunties. Yeah, so we all moved here as like one family, and yeah, we moved to South London.
Oh, that's really awesome as well because obviously a lot of times when people move, it's like only a portion of the family or just one, like maybe your mum, your dad, you, and whatever would move. But having everyone come around, that's got to be really nice. So, did you grow up in quite a family environment then?
Yeah, like that was I think the thing that made it kind of comfortable moving here was first of all my parents and I moved here, and then like slowly like my uncle, my auntie, and like other people of my family started moving in here slowly as we got accustomed to like the place we lived. So we always like lived together. It was kind
Hmm.
of like a family thing. So I think that's what kind of made us strong because we moved there. Obviously, we didn't know anyone. The whole area was different. The whole environment was different. So kind of made us strong having this family unit.
And were you guys always in South London? You stuck to there, or did you move around a bit?
We moved a lot of times to South London.
Okay.
So although I went to the same school, we moved around a lot of places. We lived in like because like most Eastern Europeans, we go to like we live in a house with different people, right? Like
Yes. Yeah.
from different countries. We don't live in like estates like normal people would do. We
Hmm.
live like in one house and it's just kind of like flats and there's different families. So we always moved around. I lived with like I don't know how many families in one house. It was like Latvians, Russians, other Polish families were all just living in one house. So yeah.
And so, what was your childhood like? Because being a Londoner myself, I know like a lot of areas can be pretty crazy to grow up in. So, how was it for you?
Yeah, it was crazy because moving into South London, obviously as a 5 year or 6 year kid, I didn't fully understand my environment. Obviously, it was different, but once I started to grow up, go to like primary school, secondary school, I realized like the area I was living in. So, because once you grow up, you start understanding your environment. There was a lot of problems, a lot of violence in my like area. Like I could see with the friends I was having in primary school, like
Hmm.
as when I was like 9 or 10 years old, so I started to realize like most of my friends don't have a dad. Also, most of their moms are like you could see they have drug problems or stuff like that,
Yeah.
and like you could see most of the kids they take stuff from the older brothers. Obviously, most of the like brothers or like family members were already in gangs,
Hmm.
so they start to incorporate all the things like outside of school and bring it into school since the age of like 9.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a lot of problems started early.
An ever-growing problem that continues to plague us across the UK in that sense.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you, just like me, are one of the people that have found a way to move away from that side of things. So, what was like your favorite things to do as a kid? What was a normal activity for you?
Oh, I football was my thing. Football was like
Hey,
sports, just sports. Like my mom was like really really athletic person, so
yeah.
thankfully I got most of the stuff from her, and sports was just number one thing. I came to school like 7 a.m. or even earlier, 6:30. I
Hmm.
played during breaks. I played lunchtime after school. Then at football practice, I was constantly doing all kinds of sports. So yeah, football was my main thing since primary school.
So you were obviously very competitive throughout your childhood, then.
Yeah, yeah, I was super competitive and I was super emotional. I would like compare myself to obviously not fucking not skill level like Ronaldo, but I was super emotional when it came to things. Like I remember playing in primary school, and every time something didn't go my way, I used to like just and really about to cry. I sometimes had to run to the toilet when I was like 8 years old, and I was like control myself to like not cry because I like someone scored or we lost the match. It was just
Yeah.
super emotional person.
Nothing wrong with that though, because emotions can be a driving factor in a lot of things of what we do, right? Sometimes maybe not so good, sometimes can lead to the better things. Now, what were some of your fondest memories of growing up in the UK? Because obviously, it's interesting for me being another Brit as well, for us to know many people that moved over from like the Caribbean, from Eastern Europe and stuff like that, and everyone's got a different take on it. So I want to see what yours was like.
The best memory I have is just school in general. The one thing I think London has, especially like just the outskirts of London, is everyone's from a different country.
Yes.
So you have all these people from all these countries, and there's just constant like banter, I would say. There's always something happening. There's always jokes, and it's just all these people from different countries, and like it's not like I would say bully each other, but like everyone's kind of teasing each other, you know, making fun of this person's like kind of country, then I make fun of this person's country, and it's all just like I would say a big family kind of. Like from my perspective, from my experience, it was really nice.
And that's the thing, right? It's like a lot of people, especially when I was growing up, I came from a family after they'd split, and I had a West Indian stepdad, and people were like, "Oh, you must have experienced loads of racism." Now, there was a bit of it for sure, but I think for us being from London and the outskirts of London, you can definitely see that we have more of a mixed environment around us, which helps us learn how to be in the real world and how this comes, because everywhere is so mixed now. But did you experience much racism or any problems like that?
Well, as soon as I got to secondary school, well, I'm just gonna say once I came to primary school, I was one. There was only me and another girl that was a white person. There was no white people. I was like the minority.
Yeah.
But it was still fine because everyone was kind of the minority, I guess. Everyone felt like everyone came from a different country, right?
Yeah.
Everyone was an immigrant, and I don't know, we kind of got along with each other. In secondary school, I came to secondary school at a point where the classes above me, the years, were fully white, but my generation, it was already, you could see, really mixed.
Yeah.
So I came in a time where there was a lot of racism from the above years, but as soon as the years got on, I didn't find much racism. Like maybe sometimes towards me, but it wasn't extreme like it was before, I would say.
Okay.
In the older generations.
Yeah. No, I can get it. Now,
Yeah.
you're Polish living in the UK, and I have a split debate here that I want you to be the man to make the decision on. Because many people see you as like a British player, right? Some websites put you down as a British flag, others put you down as the Polish flag. Admittedly, I'd like you to keep a UK flag because we need more good players. We sadly don't have enough of them. But then, for you, what do you even care? Do you mind which way it should be? Which flag would you say everyone should use for you?
Well, personally, I really don't care, but like I started like caring and thinking about it just because it's constantly been brought up for like I don't know 3 or 4 years ever since I started playing CS. Like I thought about it a long time, but I don't really have like an answer. Like technically, I will always be Polish just because I was born to Polish parents. I was born in Poland, but 90% of my life I've been brought up in England and London, right? So the way I act, the way I speak, is all from the environment, it's all from South London. You wouldn't see a Polish person act like this, right?
Yes, yeah.
My funny thing is my family, my uncle, my dad always said to me, I don't think like a Polish person. I don't act like a Polish person, right? I act like a English, like a London person. But yeah, that doesn't change the fact that I have a Polish family. Like I was born in Poland, right?
Yeah.
I'm just Polish genetically, but I do want to represent both countries. Obviously, that's all I want to do. I don't consider myself like fully Polish, fully English. I just want to represent both countries because both countries made me like the person I am today. And if it wasn't because of me growing up in London or England, I probably wouldn't be like here, like where I am right now. So.
Well, there we go. Liquipedia, HRTV, all the other websites. We need a half British, half Polish flag on there.
Half flag, please.
Yeah, let's make Mantuu his half flag. He deserves it now. What passports do you hold actually? Do you have dual citizenship?
I have dual citizenship.
Perfect. The best way to go. The best way to go. So, getting into gaming and that side of things, before Counter-Strike, how did you first get into gaming? Was it just like any particular games with friends and stuff, or?
So, because my whole family was really computer heavy, we always played all sorts of games. My uncles, my dad, we always had like, even back in Poland, before I moved to England, we always played like games like Unreal Tournament and stuff. Everyone in the family was playing it.
Classic.
Even like my mom was just pregnant with me, she was playing all computer games, like Doom and Unreal Tournament, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I could say I have a really like computer, what you say, like family.
Yes.
So I was always next to computer, always playing those old GTA, like any sort of game. Although like I played some Xbox, but I was fully focused on the computer.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember one of my uncles was always better than me. Like I could play better than any of my family members except one of my uncles, and I was always like really mad. So the first game I remember was COD 4 when I was 12 maybe. That's when I think that was the first game where I got like really addicted to, and I was just playing non-stop. So COD 4 was the first game. I remember watching, I don't know if you got into COD 4, but like I used to watch those UK people like Fantasy, I was watching play, his YouTube videos and stuff like that. And that's when I got in contact with most of my friends, which I have right now since then.
Oh, awesome. So, from what you were saying about your family games, playing like COD, playing Doom and Unreal Tournament, you were pretty much made to play FPS games then. This was your calling.
Yeah, I believe so. I was always, we had like LAN parties with our whole family just playing against each other, 1v1s on Unreal Tournament and stuff
amazing.
like that.
I'd love that. Yeah. I'd so love that. So, how did Counter-Strike come into it then? When did you first find Counter-Strike?
So before Counter-Strike, I was playing League of Legends.
Oh, okay. Very different.
And that was like, I really wanted to go pro in that because I remember I was like 15, 16. So I was already like kind of a little bit grown up, and I was like, okay, I want to pursue this because I really enjoyed the game. Tried to go full pro. I was even started to like stream a little bit or whatever. So I wanted to go full pro in League of Legends, and then on the side, my friends, which obviously I met from COD 4, were playing CS. But I knew they were playing, but I was still like, I still want to play League. And then one time, they were like, come play some matchmaking or something with us in CSGO.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, cool, I'll play. And I won't forget this game because I had like all the default settings because my sensitivity was like 10 or something. So they were laughing at me because I never played CS before. Like, played a little bit 1.6, so I knew like it's not like Call of Duty where you can run and shoot. But they were still like laughing at my skill level. My sensitivity was all over the place. My spray, I was like aiming at the ground, and they were laughing at me, right? And then if someone like laughs at me, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna show them, right? Yeah. And then I kind of missed the FPS vibe, which I got from COD 4, which I didn't get from League of Legends, right? And I started to play more and more CSGO, just because like I want to get better. I want to show my friends that I'm better. So I slowly transitioned into CSGO, left League of Legends alone, and fully committed to Counter-Strike, just playing it with my friends.
It definitely seems like the correct decision right now in terms of your career, and I love the fact that really you are pretty much a pure CSGO player, but you have a bit of that older FPS background in there thanks to your family. So to get into the competitive scene, was this just through playing with your friends, or how exactly did it happen? Because especially in the UK, the competitive scene is quite a tough one to break into, which I guess is why we'll get onto later. You weren't necessarily focused on the UK scene.
No, so I got my UK CS opinion from COD 4 because I was playing in a lot of like kind of UK teams, and I got like the bad side of UK since then.
Oh yes.
And I was like, just in CSGO, I'm like, I already had like a bad opinion. UK CSGO, I'm like, and I had friends from different countries, so that's when I just decided just to play with my friends, and I didn't focus on the scene. All I focused was just playing with my friends, and it was like a madness because all of my friends, which I know, are from everywhere, like around Europe. So I was playing with my Portuguese friend Ricardo, some Dutch people. We were just playing Counter-Strike, and then slowly this person knows this person, this person knows this person. So we kind of like started forming this group of friends. So let me just think, who was it that I met first? I think I met this Norwegian person, my good friend. Then he knew Dude because of Counter-Strike Source,
Yes.
my good friend. So slowly we started forming this group. Like, I know this guy, he played Source, so we formed this group of like a Norwegian, German, Icelandic, and a Swedish person. And we formed this group of friends, and that's when we really started to play Counter-Strike, just start practicing, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah.
So you touched on Dude there, and I'm going to get on to him soon. But was there any players that helped you get to that point beforehand, before Dude became kind of such an influential figure in your career?
No, not really. Obviously, I had my good friends, but like the main figure I would say was Dude, because he was super, super, super like competitive. I would say he's like the person that took us to like the first stage of just playing competitive Counter-Strike.
Yeah. So you end up eventually, right, playing in the German scene, but you've got this mixed team going, an international lineup as it be. But one thing I wanted to know was, I can understand why you wouldn't play in the UK scene, but was there a reason you never tried to play in the Polish scene?
Oh, that's because like I just never played with Polish people.
Okay.
And I always thought my level of Polish is like I would say like if you put me in a Polish school, I believe I wouldn't fit along with the other people, right? Because it's a different. I just thought it's like a different environment, you know, that they have their own thing going on. But personally, I'm not fully confident in speaking Polish as I am speaking English, right? So I always thought I just wouldn't fit in, you know. That's all.
Okay. Well, it's worked out for you in this sense anyway, so it definitely wasn't a bad way to go with it. And the German scene took you in. So I'm going to take us now forward a bit towards the no-org times, where we start to see more of you, start to see more action. How did this team come about? How did these players all form together?
So yeah, there's an interesting story with that team because we made this team just to go Copenhagen games.
Yeah.
That was like one of my dreams, and not one of my dreams, but like one of the dreams of my friend, to just, because we always played online together, just to go to a LAN together, right? And so the person that brought everyone along, like in this team, was good Ian, right? And Ian he brought everyone together to go Copenhagen, and at the end, we decided to kick him from the team to get another German guy.
Oh no!
So he's still a good friend of mine. We joke about it all the time, but it was like, it's so funny right now. Back then, obviously, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was probably very tilting for him at the time.
Yeah. Like, he made this whole team, and then like, because we wanted to, like, you know, the competitive spirit comes about, and you just feel like, you know, we kind of want to like do good, you know, win, because you think like, you're gonna win Copenhagen, you know, with a mixed team. So that's what happened. We made no work just to go to Copenhagen. I remember I had to drag my PC all the way from London to
I know, it's such a nightmare.
I had to wrap it around, you know, in like bubble wrap so it wouldn't like mess about in the plane. It was such a nightmare dragging. I had like a big PC, so it was so heavy. Such a nightmare dragging it. But yeah, we went to Copenhagen. I think obviously we won some games. We dropped out of the group, obviously, but we went to like the B tournament for Copenhagen.
Yeah.
And we got second place. I think we got some headsets, some bad headsets, which I ended up giving to my dad after a while. But it was like the first time I won like a prize in Counter-Strike, so yeah, it was cool.
No, what's funny, right? You're talking about lugging your PC to Copenhagen. For a lot of people now, they're looking at events and they're saying, oh, all the players, they get it all like made from. In the early days, right, you had to take all your equipment with you. You had to take your PC, your monitors and stuff the whole way across to these events. Luckily for you, though, I can imagine you didn't have to carry CRTs, right? You probably had a...
No, no, there's no way yeah.
See, I'm a bit
Thank
older
God.
than you. I had to carry CRTs. That was
I can
horrendous. That was killer. So you guys actually qualified for Copenhagen Games, right? The names there are like Tricked, NRG, LDLC, Big, Epsilon, and you guys managed to get the opportunity to represent Plantronics. How did that feel? Because obviously there's some really big names in the scene, some players who have a great history, and then some who've gone on to have an amazing future.
Yeah, so in Plantronics, it was already the stage where a lot of us already played a lot of CS, and we were again comfortable like individually in how we play CS. So because we went to Copenhagen obviously the first time, and Plantronics was the second time.
Okay, yes.
So with Plantronics, let me just think, which players did we have in Plantronics? Was it? I know it was the German Roig.
Let's see.
Was it Badger? I can't remember the full lineup. But yeah, like we played against I think we played NRG. Yeah, we played NRG. We got like we won a map from them.
Yeah, it was 2-1, and you guys end up finishing 9th to 12th, which is very respectable against those guys.
But I remember from that tournament, I knew I could kind of compete against these kind of teams. It made me feel like, it reassured me that I'm really close or on the same level as these players, which are like energy, like Peter, right? This type of people that are really considered kind of pro. So yeah, it just made me feel really good, and it made me more motivated to continue my CS:GO career.
Now, I'm not sure if you know from around this time, but I remember back in those times, because it was like kind of the middle ground of where we are to where CS is at the moment. But a fair few people were kind of saying, Mantu's more an online player than he is a LAN player. But when you go back and look at the Copenhagen Games we're referencing here with the NRG match, you finished within the top 10. You were 10th in ratings, a 1.20 rating. But you were having that kind of rating alongside Tabson, Breeze, Esatag, Twist, Rez. Was this like your breakout LAN for you as such? Is that how you would see it?
Yeah, I knew there was always comments of like online player or something like that to anyone, right, getting into the scene. But every time it was LAN, I felt really, really comfortable, because that's why you play this competitive CS, just to go to LAN, to this event, to experience this feeling of playing like in front of people. So I always enjoyed the atmosphere, the adrenaline, everything towards it, and I knew slowly through like the events I participate in, I would feel more comfortable. But I never really looked at the online CS. Just like the results and the stats just spoke for themselves, right?
So next up, we move on to you going into Panthers, which is a well-known German organisation. And for you guys, you spent a fair bit of time within the team, but you were grinding all the qualifying leagues, all the online leagues you guys could, throughout the German scene, throughout trying to the international scene as well. Was there ever a point, though, during this, because you look at your ratings and your performances were very good individually. Did you ever get offers from other teams to like pull you out earlier than what we started to see in like getting towards this year and last year?
Yeah, so I could say that even before Panthers came in, already UK teams always wanted me. I remember like
That's a step back.
Endpoint and like to like after party to like IMI trying to like find me and like offer me something to join the team.
Oh
Remember
god.
back then, but yeah, but Panthers came in. Let me just think if I had some offers. I didn't have big offers, Panthers, but from like alternate attacks, then my next stage, that's when I started to get offers. That's yeah.
Okay. But what I think is really interesting here is, for the Panther side, you actually took a break during your time with them to finish your studies. Now, studying is incredibly important, and I am really happy you did that, because I think some people don't look at what maybe they fall back on after playing, for stuff, example. But also, many teams will kick a player for that decision, or just not let them back on the roster. So how did it all work out with Panthers? Because they seem to be really understanding.
Yeah, so I always made sure I was doing everything on the side while playing CS. That was like the main goal that I got from my parents, because even they were like a kind of computer esports family.
Yeah.
they came like to this country so I could have a guaranteed future, right? That's the sole purpose they came here, so I have a better life.
Yep.
So yeah, like what can I say? Like well, sorry, what was the question again? Sorry,
So just
completely...
with how it worked with Panthers, because a lot of teams would maybe kick you or not give you the opportunity to take that time off.
In Panthers, I was made really comfortable in a sense that they knew I was like the star player, and I always balanced two things, and I was always okay with balancing these two things. But it came a point in Panthers where the results were kind of not showing. I was kind of feeling like maybe this is not going to be my future. It's going to be like a fun thing for me. So I decided to take a break and finish my study because it was really important. It was like the last year of doing biochemistry.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to focus on that because I knew like those months, if I like stuck to playing CS and studying, like it wouldn't make a difference because we were not getting anywhere. So I made sure I finished my studies at a good level. And yeah, I finished my biochemistry with first.
Wow. Well done.
Yeah, like I was slowly walking away from kind of CS because I was focused on the other things, like in life in general. I started doing like Muay Thai training for months.
Oh, nice.
Just focusing on myself, like my health and everything. But dude then came along. It was always like, come back, you know, we kind of need you. Like, we need you. Just come back. Trust me. We're gonna make it this time.
Yeah.
And he slowly pulled me in. And yeah, like I finished my studies, and then obviously at the break, whatever, I started playing again with Panthers. And then like I can't remember, but I applied to do my master's in neuroscience.
Yeah.
At a GINX college, if you know.
Yes, of course. Very famous college.
So it was a good school, and I got accepted. And I was, this is a good opportunity for me, right? I got accepted to a good school. So I decided to go to that school. And I was like halfway through that school where me and dude got an offer from Autonetics.
And that's when it changed.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, when you let's look at it this way, right? Studying is important. You got your first, but then doing a master's is a whole nother side of things with it. Now, obviously, for people that might be watching this, they might be thinking, "Oh, surely you were salaried at this time during Panthers and stuff." But a lot of teams at that level, especially during this time, were not salaried, didn't have money on the side. So for you, did you have another source of income? Did you have a way other than maybe like student loans or stuff? Was it literally study CS, or did you have a job as well?
No, it was study CS. I knew, most of my friends, obviously, maybe one of my friends had like a job, but for me, it was just studying CS. I had no money. I had at one point, I went to a shop after my uni to buy some food, like some rice, and I had my card got declined because I literally had zero on my card.
Oh, wow.
At that point, and yeah, it was scary. Maybe I could say scary, but I was just pursuing this goal of trying to make it in CS. It was hard times, especially once I got to uni, because once you leave that college, your group of friends, and you go to uni, to a completely different uni, it's a completely different environment. And I would say once I went into university, I started to change a little bit in my character, where I already had some like problems with my self-esteem, like kind of mental problems with depression. I was battling depression as well. I didn't know about it, but it was like the beginning of my problems, and it was hard times because I started to push others away from me, and all I was doing was studying. Obviously, I did good my studies and just playing, but I was solely focused on myself, and I was just doing my own thing, nothing else.
Well, fair play for coming out the other end of it. As someone who also suffered from depression, it is certainly not an easy thing to deal with at any point, let alone while studying, trying to play, trying to make your dreams come true in that sense. Now, obviously, you'd been grinding, you've been studying, you saw some success, but also you'd seen some hard defeats as well. So what kept you motivated and pushing to say, like, I'm going to make it as a pro player before we get to the ATAC side of things?
So I believe it's the way I am, like the character I am. I will never give up in anything I will do. I'm a person where I don't care what people say. I will keep pushing forward, and I will just keep pursuing what I want to do.
Yeah.
Because I believe from my age, I was really aware and I was a really rational person, and I knew that I want to do something in life which I have fun in, which I really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And since I have a group of friends that really believed in my skill, they always told me I'm a really talented player.
Yeah.
I knew I had the opportunity to go big in this game. So yeah, I just pursued this. Obviously, it was hard times because I wasn't getting anything away from it. Maybe like, I don't know, £100 here or there, or like a headset, which is nothing, right?
Yeah. You can't live
To
on
me,
that.
to me, it was a big thing because I want something, but in the real world, that's nothing.
Mm.
So I had constant battles with my parents, my family.
I can imagine.
Although, like, I was never a bad person in terms of I was hanging out or drinking or, I don't know, hanging out with friends doing something bad. I was always going back home and playing CS and doing well in studies. But because I was focusing really hard on video games, they believed that I wasn't focusing on my main objective, which was studies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And having obviously Polish parents, Polish like parents that are immigrants, and your son telling them he wants to be a professional esports player, and they haven't seen that, right? Like, they just see video games as a fun thing. And being in London, where it is console heavy, right? There isn't a lot of computer players, so I couldn't really show them anyone, which could like show them like, okay, this is a real thing, right?
Yeah.
But I was really motivated, where I was just playing, and then I was always thinking to myself, one day it's gonna pay off. One day I'm gonna show them, that this is a thing, just through my results and through my own thing. So yeah.
I can relate to that all too well. I remember trying to explain to my parents the first £100 I'd won, and they it was just £500 split between five of us, and they literally thought you must be selling drugs or something. And I'm like, they had to ring the land centre to tell them, like, oh, he did actually win. Like, this is a real thing. It's like, yeah, this is not a joke. This game and stuff can work out. Now, next up, right, you and Dude's relationship. It's been going on for some time. You guys were together across multiple teams. Like, how did this happen? Because it's not often we get to see this, even at the top level, right? You see players maybe start and then one gets picked up and they kind of stay together as long as possible and then disappear. Maybe like if you look at, say, the Polish guys in the old Virtus Pro, or maybe you look at like Forest and Get Right as good examples, but there's not really that many. So how did it all work for you two?
Well, I always prioritized in Counter-Strike playing with people I trust and I have fun with over, because I knew a lot of teams in like tier 2, tier 3 CS that they were in teams, but they solely focused on themselves and trying to get to the next level, right? So they weren't really like friends with each other. So everyone just kind of like wanted to be the best player, and trying to get to the next level, quickly leave the team, right? But I always loved this sense of like trusting another person, and I especially with Dude, he was the reason like where I am today, because he was obviously he was the IGO and he brought everything together. Like, he had this competitive spirit just to win, and like if it wasn't because of him, I can say I wouldn't be where I am now today, because a lot of stuff happened because of him and because of us like sticking together through everything.
And also, you come to know that person better in game, what they want, what they expect, and stuff. You build that relationship outside the game, which helps inside the game.
Yeah.
What does he think of where you're at now? Do you guys still keep in touch much?
Yeah, we keep in touch all the time. We play all like all the games. Like, again, we just played like WoW for like we have a break, so we're just playing WoW right now. But yeah, we keep in touch. He's super pleased. As soon as like I got the offer from OG, the first person like I told was Dude, right?
Oh, brilliant.
Because I was just got on TeamSpeak and I was just talking about it with him, right? Like, what should I do?
Yeah,
Because it
yeah.
was at a time where I was still with Atex. Obviously, I
Hmm.
was in a team with him, and he was super pleased. He was like, "Bro, this is amazing. Like, this is once in a lifetime opportunity. Just go for it, you know?"
That's incredible because so many people, right? I've seen teams where someone will get an offer and the player they trust or the player who's the in-game leader will be like, "Yeah, don't leave," or they're jealous or something. But he was
Hmm.
supportive. That's great to hear.
Yeah, yeah.
So under ATAX, I'm going to touch on this quickly before we get more onto the OG side of things.
Hmm.
You guys won multiple domestic German trophies. You had the eSportal Global Finals in Stockholm, but did you ever start to get the feeling like where, okay, look, I'm ready for the next step, like I'm ready for a big tier one team, or were you just like taking it one step at a time?
So in the middle of Atex, I would say I was already ready for the next level,
Mm,
but I never got the opportunity. I can say I never got the opportunity to go to the next level, and I started to kind of lose my faith. Although, like I said, I was a really super driven person. I was always motivated. I started to lose my drive in Counter-Strike
yeah.
because we kept winning the national German, the Meisterschaft,
Mm-hmm.
like over and over again, and I couldn't progress. Like we couldn't progress to
Yeah.
the next stage, and we kept playing the same thing, practicing, and it became really unmotivated. Like especially with my teammates, everyone in the team, it was like a job routine. I would
Yeah.
say it wasn't like a fun thing to do. It was just like, okay, after practice, okay, we have to play this national
You're
tournament
playing the
again.
same teams as well, aren't you?
Same thing
Same
over and over
players.
again, and I was
Yeah.
losing my motivation. A lot of players in my team were losing the motivation. But obviously, you are under contract, right? So it is a
Hmm.
job, and you have to play. But yeah, it was in the middle of attacks, like individually, speaking in terms of my like health and mental health, it was slowly going down again, just because I couldn't see like the next step in my journey.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking like, okay, so I'm a UK player. Um, I'm not like a star player in terms of like I'm not OPA, which most teams were looking for, right?
Hmm.
This OPA star player. So I was just looking at the things rationally, and I was just thinking, I don't have a lot of opportunities here because there wasn't a lot of international teams back then.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, there's no UK team. The only thing I can see is going to NA, but I'm not willing to leave everything behind here where I am in England
That's a
to
bit of
go
a
to
drop
America.
skill level wise as well.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it was really bad in terms of like my own like mental health.
Hmm.
But as soon as like I started to drop in the problems I was having, that's luckily I don't know how it came about. That's when I got the message from NBK from OG.
And that's what we're looking to get into. But what I'm going to say is like your thoughts on how much you drive yourself, how much you push yourself, the pressure you have on yourself. I can relate to that in many ways, especially when like you feel at times where you're not getting somewhere and that almost depression feeling hits back again, and you want to find that out of it.
Hmm.
It's something that a lot of people don't really understand when it comes to this. When you want something so bad, but the
Yeah,
dream OG as such, excuse the pun, did technically come in, right? But what was
yeah.
interesting, it was you were not the first pick for the team, right? So
Hmm.
people who may have just watched the top tier of CSGO, they may have only just start to know you when the OG move came about. But I think the interesting part is they went for Poison, who ended up on Complexity. They then wanted Jampy, but he obviously has the VACBAM, so it wasn't an
Hmm.
option. Did it bother you that like you were not the first pick in there? Did you just see it as okay, this is my time to shine?
Yeah, I never looked at it like as like, okay, I'm a third player or something.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm gonna take the opportunity regardless.
hell
I
yeah.
will, whatever it is. I don't care what people think. Like, oh, you're you're not the person that they wanted to. I'm just gonna take this opportunity and go along with it. I'm just gonna show people what I'm capable of. Yeah.
And what was the first conversation like when talking to OG? Who was it with?
So okay, so it was going towards the end of like the German season of the with Atex, where I got the message from my former coach in Atex, which NK, which he is now in Sprout.
Legendary coach,
And
right? He did MVG2, all that stuff. Yeah.
And he just like, I thought he was trolling because he's like, oh, do you want to play an OG? Like, you know, there's 2 eyes on WhatsApp emojis.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a troll, right? So I was like, yeah, sure, yeah, whatever. And then he's like, oh yeah, because I gave a good word in to MBK, but don't get your hopes up, right? So I didn't get my hopes up. I was like, okay, cool. Like, it was a good thing he said, but I knew they were looking for the primary AWPer, and I knew there's so many candidates, right? I was like, there's no way in hell I'm going to make it, because I never played the All Pro. But let's just see.
You played secondary AWP though for a bit on ATEX, right?
Yeah. I honestly fell in love with the AWP, like in attacks, because I don't know, with the AWP it was just so easy. Like, even though I was secondary AWPer, as soon as it came to city side, I would never played rifle. I always got the AWP as soon as I could. So yeah, so MBK messaged me. I talked with Alexi and NBK, I remember, on Discord. I talked to them just in general, how I am, how I like feel, what type of person I am outside the game, inside of the game. MBK, I believe, in one of his interviews said he looked at one of my demos, along with Alexi and stuff, and that's when he said he realized, okay, this guy could be a candidate, right?
Hey.
So yeah, but then I got a message from MBK saying, okay, so there are other options right now, but I'll tell you later what the overall outcome is.
Okay.
So I don't know, some days went past, maybe a week or so, and then he messaged me like, okay, do you want to like trial with us or something for a little bit to play some games?
My God, how hard was that week of like waiting? Because I know in my mind I'd be like, okay, I just want to know.
Yeah, the funny thing is like I was saying, how there was a downfall of like my motivation and like my mental just problems. As soon as I got the kind of the opportunity to trial with OG, it just went escalated super high. I got like super excited. I instantly went deathmatch, you know, just like okay, I need to AWP some deathmatch because, you know, I was open. So I was super excited. Like, my whole mind just went like kind of bright. I can say, like, I was just super excited. And yeah, MBK told me to trial with them. I played the games with them, and it was super. I would say the first game I played with them was a little bit, I would say, nerve-wracking, because obviously I'm playing with these NBK people I watched, I looked up to, right? And the other games, I just started to like essentially pug it out, because I stopped focusing on like, I just solely focused on myself and what I can show to them. And I was just doing crazy stuff on the trial games. And then they were kind of like impressed, I would say. Then the trial games finished. We talked. I think MBK watched more demos of me, and then he messaged me saying, because the other AWPers, obviously something came along they couldn't play.
Yeah.
So he's like, after discussion with teammates, him and Alexi, they decided to go with me.
And so you said you told Dude first, but what was your initial reaction? Like, how was it for you?
It was crazy, because I remember it was in Kiev, because my girlfriend is from Ukraine.
Oh, perfect.
And I was in Kiev back then. I had my PC there, and I was like, because before MBK was like, come on Discord for a sec.
Yeah.
And I knew what was happening, because like, they're like, come Discord. I'm like, okay, they made a decision probably. So I told my girlfriend, and she's like, oh no. She was like next to the PC, like praying, kind of. She was next to it. She was so, she was so weirded out as well. And so I got the message that I got in. And NBK messaged me, yeah, you can drink champagne or whatever, have a toast or something, because you made it, you know?
Oh man,
And
what a
yeah, I
moment.
was super happy. I was hugging my girlfriend. I instantly called my parents to tell them what happened.
Yeah.
Then obviously I talked to the dude about the whole situation, and yeah, it was a crazy time.
And your girlfriend, I remember seeing her at the blast event alongside your family as well. But is she quite? Does she understand the CS, the scene, and stuff like that?
Yeah, she played CS before I even played.
Oh
She was playing
wow,
since 1.6. She's like
good
3 or 4K
girl.
hours in Counter Strike.
That's what I like
So
to hear.
yeah, so she streamed a little bit. She streams a little bit as well. So she knew about the whole thing, right?
Mm.
So yeah, she was super supportive. And anyway,
Oh, that's awesome, man. Now, the one thing, right, you've been the star on these other rosters before OG for a long time, and now you're up with, like, Alexi B, Valdez in there, Issa, MBK, like, these are all names that have been playing high level for quite some time.
hmm
Did you worry at all about, like, you'd no longer be the star, or did it give you, because as I'm starting to learn you better, or know you better, sorry, through the interview, I'm starting to see that I guess this would maybe just motivate you more?
yeah. So I knew at the beginning with OG, I wouldn't be the star player
Hmm.
because I knew I had so much to work on because I picked up a role I never played. I'm playing tier 1 CS against the best teams in the world, and I knew
Yeah.
it's going to be hard. But I knew at the back of my head, I always knew I would slowly develop, get comfortable, and slowly develop into this star player. Obviously, competing with the names I have in my team, like Fauda, Isa, Alexi, Nathan, and slowly, but throughout the months and through the events, I'm developing my own play. I'm getting more comfortable in the position I'm in,
Yeah.
and I'm slowly beginning to believe I could be the star player of this team.
And that's what it's about, right? Having the right pieces around you to make that happen as well. Now, at the time when the announcement came of the OG lineup, right? You know what the community is like. There was a lot of comments of people saying like, "Oh, he shouldn't be in the pickup," or they didn't know who you were. But there was also a good amount of people that had seen you, had understood who you are, what you can deliver. Did this kind of stuff ever get on your mind, or was it just something you just ignored straight up?
So I knew from the people that knew me, from the German scene, even the Polish scene, even some UK people, they knew the skill I had.
Yeah.
See, speaking in terms of the nationally, all the players didn't know me. So as soon as the thing got announced, I got picked up. The classic who
Yep.
started coming along. But I knew it's an opportunity, and I said to myself, I'm not gonna be nervous about it. I'm not gonna to be in the shadow and be nervous about it. I'm just gonna be full confident, have
Hmm.
fun with it, and see what happens. And that's exactly what happened when we came into Summit, our first event,
Oh,
where
and I love that, by the way. For a
I
first
had
event, that's so
no,
good.
as a team, we had no structure. As a player, I had no idea. I was just going off feeling,
Yeah.
basically. And yeah, I was just having fun, and I was just playing my game. I wasn't focusing on anything else.
And what did you think of Summit, right? Because you guys obviously only featured 6 teams. It has a very unique format. It's different to normal events. But, like, you guys would eventually lose to Mouse Sports, who took a third to fourth place as a brand new team. What did you guys all make of it? Because for us on the outside, a lot of people thought, oh, they're probably not going to do well at their first event. They'd be lucky to just get, like, a few good game wins or something. But you guys impressed beyond what many expected.
Yeah, so going into CS Summit, although we were confident, the first game, as we thought about it, like it was gonna be nervous. You could see in how we played, we
Yeah.
were all nervous because the my teammates didn't play an official match in like 3 months, 2 months. I don't know how long it took for them to like make the team and just fully
Hmm.
announce, but it was a couple of months. So we were really nervous. I could say I even was nervous because so many people are watching. The whole team as a unit was just nervous into the first game,
I
the
bet.
first official games. And as soon as day 2 came along, completely different mindset we had.
Hmm.
It completely changed. It completely turned around, and yeah, we were even individually. We were wrecking these teams. I remember playing against MIBR, and then I had some good games against them, like really good games, and I just thought to myself, like, I'm playing against these teams, MIBR, right? Like these good teams,
Yeah.
and I was like, thinking to myself, this is not so different to the team when I was playing the German scene,
Mm.
Like they're not so. It's not like this big giant, this big boss where like, oh my god, they're so good. You can compete against these people. I could individually compete against these players, against this Opa Fallen, right? And yeah, it made me more and more confident. As soon as we won the games against MIBR, Virtus Pro, we got more and more confident. Especially for myself, individually speaking, I got really confident.
Yeah, because you're never really sure, right, on how high up that step up's going to be between being on the level of like tier 2, tier 3, and then going to the tier 1. But like you said, sometimes it's not that big a difference in it if you've got the capabilities to do with it. Now,
Yeah.
playing with these names, right, and having a coach like Rugger now as well, all these people come from a lot of experience, different ways of like Hellraiser's example for Issa is a very different team to what like Valde would have played on North, but everyone would have been able to add their own bits. So did you have a lot of help in like growing and learning and evolving further into this?
So I always played in international teams, so that was not a problem with me. With the
Yeah.
other players, it was a problem because they have to speak English now. Obviously, in this international team, you have teammates from different countries, different personalities, different behaviors. So we had to get accustomed to each other. But I believe through the organization, which OG is, because OG is kind of organization where it's like family oriented, right? We're
Yeah.
trying to develop. It's a long journey. We're trying to develop together to be the best we can, and we got a lot of help from obviously Seb, if you know Seb.
Oh yes, yeah.
But just together, we have like a team which is really, really smart. We have smart individuals like Alexi, Nathan, our coach, and we're all trying to fix our problems. Obviously, we have the meme that we have the free IGLs.
Yes.
But in a sense, that's what kind of is helping us through this journey because we're trying to develop together, trying to fix any problems we have, especially through Seb. He always, when we boot camp or when we were together anywhere, he always put us together in a room and just talked about everything, like
Yeah.
psychologically and everything.
He's very smart on like the whole mental aspect of it all, isn't he? And the understanding.
Yeah, he's really smart in that aspect, and it's kind of a thing where I always thought about it since I don't know how long since I got into attacks, where I realized that Counter-Strike, especially in the competitive play, is really, really mentally heavy, where you can't have you can have like a low number of hours in Counter-Strike, but if your mental aspect is there, you can achieve a lot. If the mental aspect is not there, it's really hard. So it's really important to like put all these players together, make sure everyone is mentally happy and is there for us to truly succeed.
And then that's really important, right? I used to give this definition to people of if you have an amazing pistol round and you feel good off the back of that, you can just feel confident in that game for the rest of the game.
That's how it is.
And it can truly change how you play. Like you just have more confidence in your peaks and your own kind of intuition at that point.
Yeah.
Now, you touched on what Seb involved, and I've spoke to Alexi about it. He seems to be able to add a lot to the team despite not being from CS. You guys have Rugger, you guys have got players who are all there in a whole, like, plethora of different experiences here. But what's next for you guys? What goals have you set on yourselves? Is there any goals set on yourselves, or are you just taking it step by step?
Yeah, so we're taking it step by step. Obviously, it's a little bit harder right now since the thing what's happening like around the world where we can't be together. So right now we're focusing in on individually on ourselves. But as soon as the opportunity comes where we can get together again, it's just focusing on our confidence, on our communication, and on our mood, on our energy, because that's the thing that's right now been slacking, where we have days where our energy levels are really high and we're performing, we're confident, and then the next day it just completely drops. So with Seb, with our coach, with everyone, we're just trying to talk about, figure out step by step how to manage that. Obviously, it should come from all the players. It shouldn't just be Seb saying he has this magical solution. It has to come from everyone in the team for us to fix this issue and try to understand it and work on it. But yeah, we're trying to slowly, because we know this is a long journey. We're a new team. We're a new international team. It's going to take quite some time. So we're trying to just develop as we go along.
That's a smart way to do it, man. Now, what I want to get for you is kind of your last words, anything you want to say, but also just some advice to players who may have been in your situation, who want to come up through the ranks, on kind of what they can do and how they should handle a situation of trying to make it to be a pro player.
I would say patience for me was the key factor. Patience and not rushing into things. Trying to develop your own individual skill and having people around you that you can truly trust and have fun while playing in CS. So try not to obviously trying to look to develop as individually, try to get to the next step, but have friends and people that you can trust where you can try and develop as a team together to get to the next stage. Have people around you that you can help each other. When he's feeling low, help him. When you're feeling low, he's gonna help you. Because this is in esports, especially in different countries, it is a hard job to get into and actually try and be in the top tier. So it is a long journey. So I would just say the key thing is having patience and having the drive. Just knowing that's gonna pay off.
Thank you very much for your wise words, mate. And I guess your parents are pretty supportive and happy with the decision now after all of this has gone down. You got your university studies done, but you've also made it as a pro.
Yeah, they're super happy right now. My mom's watching all the games. I don't even know what games I have. My mom's telling me, "Oh, you have a game this Monday or Tuesday." I'm like, "Against who?" She already knows everything. She reads HOTV comments, but she shouldn't.
Oh no! Yeah.
I'm like, "Mom, please don't." It's like because she read some comments, something. "Oh, what's happening?" Like, no, don't read. It's not actual, reporters. It's just 12-year-olds or something typing. Yeah. But yeah, super supportive. My girlfriend, my parents, my whole family, with my uncle, auntie, always watching my games.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Mantuu, this is honestly only the beginning. It's been great to get to know you a bit better and go into more detail on all of this stuff. I wish you all the best of luck in the future, and I'll definitely see you at more events going forward. But that is it for another episode of Connector, ladies and gentlemen. We're narrowing out on time. I've gone hardcore with Mantuu on this, so I hope you've enjoyed it. Remember to keep checking back on GINX Esports TV for plenty more in-depth, long-form interviews here on The Connector.